What's up? What's going on, everybody? The playoff edition, first round, Elephant
Sir.
in the Room podcast. Hey, if y'all see Finn or you ever heard from Finn, holler at him, tell him, hey, we need him. We down one. We don't know where he at. But it's me and myself, and then Drey Davis holding it down in the fold, in the flesh.
Sir.
A lot of exciting playoff games to start this first round. We ain't even gonna kick it off with the home team. We gonna start off with what I think is the first round matchup of the weekend. And Miami Hurricanes, 10 seed, headed down to College Station to take on the 7 seed Texas A&M Aggies. That was that whole situation with the bracket, making the case for Notre Dame to jump over Miami, but the committee decided to stick with Miami because they're head-to-head.
Yep.
But what are you looking for in this matchup in particular?
I mean, yeah, you're right. Other than our game, this is the game of the weekend because, for one, Texas A&M started out hot, came out. They actually beat Notre Dame on the road. They came out with some really good quality wins all the way up until the last week of the season, going on the road to play in-state rival Texas. And the Longhorns, who surged at the end and was trying to make a case for their own, playoff rights, tried to go out there and disappoint not only the number one team, but, disappoint Miami and Notre Dame in the same situation to get in at that right. So out of the three that could have been chosen, I do feel like Miami was the right choice, like you said, based off head-to-head, some other contributing factors. You go back to Miami, and there's a couple games I know they want back, and especially that 4-5 turnover game from the Friday game from my guy. But they got back, and with all the leadership and experience, that he has at this point, going into College Station shouldn't be that hard. I mean, I think, and I don't want to misinform anybody, but I'm pretty sure at some point while he was at Georgia, he probably went on the road and played at Texas A&M. So it may, even still, he's been in SEC environments. So I'm not really worried about the environment. What I'm worried about, more than anything for everybody involved, is the temperature and the weather, how that's going to affect it. But yeah, I mean, Marcel Reed, Texas A&M, they got to find a way to bounce back. The last time you were on the field, you took a really devastating loss, that you really didn't even expect to take. And so now you didn't play in the SEC championship. So you got a week to lick your wounds and get ready to go back to fight. You're going to make the playoffs because you only lost a game. So that's not really your issue. Your issue is, how do you bounce back from something that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago and then now come out against a team in Miami who's hungry. They feel like they, were chomping at the bit to be in the playoffs. Now they're trying to prove that they supposed to be in the playoffs. In the same token with Texas A&M, at one point you were the number one team in the country. If you want to prove that you still one of the best teams in the country, the committee got it wrong because you lost one game or, whatever the case may be, you go out here and prove it. You at home. You have no excuse to not take advantage of the situation. But, I mean, it's Texas A&M game to lose. It's Miami's game to win, because I think, like I always say, when you're playing at home in a playoff situation like this, like, you kind of trying to feed out the crowd's momentum. Mm-hmm. So it's really not so much of you playing your game. You're trying to give yourself juice. And I'm hoping that A&M doesn't get lackadaisical in the process. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's gonna be a hard fought battle. I really think that. I think it comes down to quarterback play.
Yeah, I was gonna echo that. Necessarily agree. I'd say if you pulled me to the side, gave me a shot of truth serum, and asked me which quarterback do you trust the most in this game,
I know you're not gonna say what I think you're gonna say,
and I'm gonna say who you think I'm gonna say. As crazy as it sounds, what I'm about to say, I'm gonna go with Lambeau Beck.
Okay.
As you Marcel Reed kind of ended the season on a sour note.
Yeah.
There's always been questions with Marcel Reed anyway, with the turnovers and all that, even though Carson Beck has that problem as well.
Definitely
like
does.
I said, Marcel Reed struggled in their last game versus Texas, the in-state rival, of course. The game clinches. Maybe the SEC championship game for Alabama could have been a little bit more different had they closed it out, but it is what it is. What's done is done. Now can't go back and do that. But yes, and then like you said, Carson Beck playing in these environments, I don't think he's played because, the last time he was in the SEC. Well, one of the last 2 seasons he was in the SEC, there were still divisions, and then last year was the first iteration of the Oklahoma and Texas. So the only and they went to Austin. They took down Texas. So he went to Tuscaloosa. Granted, a big game. He struggled in that game through 3 picks. Ole Miss struggled in that game through, I want to say at least, I remember 2 or 3 picks in that game. Yeah, so it's just like him on the road in these SEC environments. Yes, he has struggled with the exception. I can't remember the stats from Texas, but they won that game pretty, I don't know, not decisively, but I'll say pretty comfortably compared to, it was a little bit closer compared to last season, I'll say that. I mean, to this season, I'll say that. But yes, I would trust Carson Beck going into this environment. I think Miami has been one of the better teams, even though they faltered to 2 unranked teams, SMU and Louisville. Man, they just had your number that day. But yeah, I would trust Carson Beck more than Marcel Reed. And Carson Beck, I think he's a more suited passer than Marcel Reed. Like Marcel Reed really has to be on the run to be on the go to make some of his plays. I have seen him stand in the pocket and deliver some passes, but he's more so of he's not naturally gifted as a passer yet compared to a Carson Beck. I mean, Carson Beck is not an elite passer, but when you want to compare the two, I think Carson Beck is a better passer. Now, as far as the defenses, I think Mike Elko's defense, I give them nods over Miami. I know Miami had a pretty stout defense to start the season, kind of faltered off, but A&M's defense has pretty much been consistent throughout the whole year, minus a couple games. I know that Notre Dame game is pretty much a shootout. The Auburn game was a really good fought defensive game, and they fell down big to South Carolina and really held them what they were on pace for. I don't think they scored more than 34 points to end that game. So the defense bowled up in that game. And even the Texas game, it's just Marcel Reed was putting the defense in bad spots and forcing them to have to make stops. So I will give the nod to the defense. And, of course, they're going to be favored because they're playing at Cal Field, the 12th man. I want to say is it a night game? I can't remember, or is it a 3:30 kickoff? It doesn't matter. That stadium is going to be rocking regardless.
Either way it goes, it's a playoff environment.
Yeah, so like I said, this is one of the marquee matchups. I don't really have a prediction. Maybe.
Yeah, I ain't. Really
when we talk amongst ourselves in the group.
Yeah.
In the group chat, maybe I'll have a prediction then. But as far as right now, I don't. The keys to the game, and also, I think another thing is who will be able to run the ball and kind of control the clock and extend drives for either team. They got Le'Veon Moss. They got a lot more playmakers. Miami got that talented freshman, but A&M has Le'Veon Moss. They got Terry Bussey. They got Casey Concepcion. Marcel Reed can make plays with his legs. Yeah, Marcel Reed can make plays with his legs. So as far as the offense goes, you would give the nod to it. It seems more things are leaning in A&M's favor, but as far as quarterback, Carson Beck was the highest rated quarterback coming out last season, before he fell off. And now, here we are. But yeah, the ultimate key, which quarterback is going to keep the ball out of harm's way less.
Yeah.
So
it's really it's funny that you bring up defense too, because I'm glad you elaborated on that point, because when we talk about these two teams, we really don't talk about defense. We know who the marquee defenses in the NCAA are, but I was really gonna lean into that and ask that question, like, is the defense really a factor in this particular game, as opposed to and I think we both still agree on the mutual point about quarterback play, but what we watched the game, we were talking, me and you were talking last night. We watched the game between Troy and Jack State, where we saw two teams that had quarterbacks that weren't necessarily winning them the game as much as the defense were doing work for them. And now, to loop that into what we're talking about now, like, we see two quarterbacks in situations where both of them are either turnover laden, decision-making laden, or just not, at the skill where they think that a prolific passer should be. So Marcel Reed, the last game, really, the defense won the day because he made a lot of mistakes, So that's why like I said, it's just interesting that you bring up that point, because we ain't talking too much about defense when we talk about these two teams. So I think not necessarily creating turnovers taking advantage of the turnovers that will be given to these two teams going to be big.
Yeah.
It's going to be pivotal.
Yeah.
But it is
Yeah,
it is to add the extra layer for the viewers. It is an 11 o'clock kick. So that 11 o'clock kick actually plays as big of a part as playing a night game because you're playing the first game of the day. They were talking about it on game day, I think a couple weeks ago. You got to change your routine. And you got to change your routine that you may not have had all season. For now, you have to get up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning with anxiety and jitters starting the day. And then you got to go out
the last time Miami was out here, they played SMU. That was 11 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah.
See how that game turned out for them. So, yeah. So, that might be a whole field. I don't recall A&M having any 11 a.m. kickoffs.
Not very many. If they do.
Yeah, they probably have this season. But, yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. Really what paying too much attention to them outside of, like, any marquee matchups. But, yes, that does also play because you don't want to be the one that sleepwalks into that game. Next day, you down 14-0, 17-0, something like that. And now you got to fight to keep your way in the game from getting ran off the field. So, yeah, that's probably one of the biggest elements. How can we keep this intensity? How can we start with this intensity aside from trying to build the momentum through the game? How can we start on fire versus trying to gradually going through the game? Okay, now we found our footing, but hey, it might be a little bit too late. So yeah, that I think that's probably second key factor aside from quarterback play. So,
and that's why I put in that point too about like A&M playing off the crowd. I mean that again, that extra layer that we're talking about makes a big difference. You starting at 11 o'clock, the crowd might not. I mean, we've gone to different games. I've gone to an 11 o'clock kick just like last year. And I know how that energy started and where it ended. Like when I went to the Bama South Carolina game, like nobody in there thought that we was about to be in a competitive game that was going to come down to the last couple of seconds. But by the time we got to the fourth quarter, like people were standing up the entire fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? It's finally 1 o'clock. The sun getting right over the top of the stadium. Like now we getting energy. And that's the danger in playing a game. That was a September game. We're talking about a December 20th game, 5 days before Christmas. And, and Texas, and I'm got to think it's pretty similar weather. You know what I'm saying? Either way it goes, it's going to be cold. Everybody ain't adjusted to that. Everybody ain't ready for that. And especially not in the crowd. You may not be juiced up for that. So that one's going to be I know we ain't even got to our game yet, but that's going to be a dangerous game.
Most definitely. So I think to put a bow on that, it is anxious to see how the fans show up for that game too. Like, are you gonna show up a little bit too fired up? Are you gonna show up as well, kind of dead? And then, okay, a big play happens for A&M, and all right, okay, we here now. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling, and then hopefully we get to see the Aggies go on and get this win. You know what I'm saying? Gig 'em, go Canes, all about the U and all that good stuff. Like I said, I don't have an official pick just yet, but to move on. There's another game. It happened in the season already, but now they're down the coach that was there on the sidelines in Lane Kiffin. But John Summerall, former Troy head coach, now soon to be former Tulane head coach, and soon to be new Florida head coach, going back to Ole Miss fans, I'm sorry. Going back to Oxford to take on the Ole Miss Rebels once again, where they lost by a grand score of 45-10. Earlier in this football season. The line is Ole Miss minus 17. So what do we think will happen in this game? Do we see, a regular season game and a playoff game? We've seen NFL teams blow out teams in the regular season, but then in the playoffs, they squeak by or they even lose. So, NFL's NFL, college is college. But all I'm saying is playoff football is a little different atmosphere. So what are we going to see in this game?
I mean, I think we're going to see exactly what T.I. said. Ain't nothing changed but the name on the mail. The only difference with Ole Miss right now is they got a different coach. I think they still come in with the same mentality, the same intensity. To me, to lose your head coach just a couple weeks ago and just the fashion that it took place and all the hype and all the, all that comes with it, like, if anything, just like I said about Texas A&M, like, you kind of glad that it's over now, so you can just move on to the next step. So now that you move on to the next step is now getting to the playoffs and proving that you can do it with or without them. And I don't think anything changes over the course of 3 months, and it's going to be 3 months exact to the day that they played Tulane.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pete Golden's going to do a good job rallying the troops. I think for that to be the 2:30 game, the middle of the day game,
Yes.
I think that is a game where the crowd is 100% going to play a factor into it.
That's pretty much normal SEC
They
kickoff time right there.
they riled up. They want to prove a point. They want to prove to everybody, across the country that Lane Kiffin wasn't the reason that they got here. It was, the players and Lane Kiffin, however you want to look at it. But they got a point to prove. And anytime you aren't the underdog, but you come in playing like you the underdog and you get kind of a warm up talent like Tulane in the first round.
And then the team that you've already seen makes it better.
Yeah, so, ain't too much changed in what they doing. They didn't go get no new players in 3 months or anything like that. They didn't go get more or better talent than you. So, I don't think anything changes from a talent standpoint. I think it becomes a little bit more competitive. I think the margin of victory may be a little bit smaller. But other than that, man, I ain't got nothing.
I'm going to make a case for Tulane. I'll say I think Ole Miss, as far as, how some teams, they get better as the season go. Some teams get worse. Some teams just, they don't get better. They're going to get worse. They just, they're doing what they pretty much doing. I think that's Ole Miss. They're doing what they pretty much doing. Now, I'll say Tulane, granted, they're in the American. Shout out to the G5 schools out there. They're in the American. I think after that game, I think they kind of went up. So I think they might be just a little bit better. And the fact that they got beat in embarrassing fashion, I think that's going to add them a little bit of motivation. And especially the stakes are higher now. We win this game, we move closer and closer to competing for a national championship. And the winner of this game plays Georgia, just like the winner of A&M Miami gets Ohio State. So, nice victory prize for you. But,
to go play
put us in the tournament,
better.
give us a chance, man. We'll see. We'll go from there. So, yeah, like I said, Tulane seemed like they got better as the year went. Ole Miss kind of just rode the ship. They got out of their own way compared to last year. Last year they kind of faltered. They lost some games. They should have won Kentucky, Florida. You know what I'm saying? This year, the only game they had, they could be undefeated. It could be undefeated. It could have been Alabama, Ole Miss, SEC championship. Had Ole Miss closed out versus Georgia, So it's a lot of things that could have been different, but they're here now. Lane's gone, so that has kind of died. But you already know just how when they kept talking about the Lane Kiffin decision. Now we're just going to hear about, okay, Ole Miss playoffs, no Lane Kiffin. Ole Miss playoffs, no Lane Kiffin. So now the story has flipped. Now that Lane Kiffin is finally gone from Ole Miss and is now at LSU, so now that's all we're going to hear now. So, and like you said, how do they respond to that compared to how – it's two things. How does Tulane respond to getting a chance to right or wrong, losing 45-10, and how does Ole Miss respond now that Lane Kiffin's out the door? You got Pete Golden, who's the permanent. They didn't even put a tag on him. They just, you are permanent head coach, and hopefully you can keep some of these players from going down to Baton Rouge. So this might end up being, how we WWE fans, we always have the matches that might, we expect to be great, but this one might be the show stiller, depending on how it goes. Potentially could well be the show stiller of the day of the first round. So this is going to be interesting. Like I said, two big questions. How do both these teams respond with their circumstances? I don't really know too much about Tulane. Like I said, I know that coach is pretty much out the door. Yeah, Ole Miss, their coach went out the door. Now they replaced him that fast. I don't know if Tulane replaced their coach. I know not Austin Simmons, but Trinidad Chambliss. A nice story for him being a D2 quarterback with 1 year eligibility left and showcasing what he can do at an SEC program like Ole Miss. But yeah, it's going to be pretty fun this weekend. And then I think a game that if we don't have a prediction for, we might say, hey, Dan Lanning is just going to – this is a nice feel-good moment for another G5 school. James Madison, the former Fighting Signettis. Shout out to Billy Napier.
He's back,
new head coach on the way.
It's the last game of the night, too.
Night game, the nightcapper, West Coast. So it's 7:30 Eastern kickoff. So it'll be 4:30 on the West Coast out there in Eugene. Oregon versus James Madison. Like you said, we don't really. Like I said, it's a nice feel good story. Tulane, I give Tulane a fighting chance, but I hate to be like this in the because it's the playoffs. But I don't really give James Madison nothing. I mean, you got anything to say about Oregon? Because I really don't. You know what I'm saying? We know what Oregon does. Oregon wins a lot of games, and then once postseason play comes, they fall flat. Luckily, they get an opponent to where, hey, if you don't show up for this game, you're going to lose. But if you show up and do what you do, you go on to the next round versus Texas Tech. So, but like, what do you got to say for Oregon?
Hey, man. Shout out to James Madison, man. We appreciate y'all for participating this year. Y'all get to hang a banner in James Madison's athletic facility that says y'all have a college football playoff appearance. Okay? That's all that matters. Eugene,
that coach is going to UCLA, by the way.
Eugene, Oregon is a tough place to play. Dan Lanning has the cojones of a monkey. What does that mean? That man is crazy. For some reason, he just feels so agitated with the world and so hated. But you coach for Oregon, so there's nothing wrong with coaching for Oregon.
I hate to cut you off.
Whatever.
But Finn talking about some 745, and we already rolling. GG's in the chat. Hey, everybody put A.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's Oregon, man. It's Oregon all the way. It's just, I hate that it's the last game. If you got something to do that night, man, go ahead and keep it playing, because there's no point in watching that game.
Yeah, man, this would be nice background though. Like if you in college or something, you got homework due, Christmas break around the way, but if you still got some assignments to
Wrap
do.
them gifts to that.
Nice, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Nice background noise. I will say I think James Madison, just because it's the playoffs, you get teams come firing out. Even on the pro level, you get teams come firing out for a quarter. And then, bam, the rest of the game. Because I saw it last season. Like I said, this is NFL, but I saw Denver go up to Buffalo. It looked like Denver's finna give Buffalo a run. And the final score was 31-10.
Reality sets in
so
every time.
Yeah, so it's just like, hey, this might be one of these games where James Madison come out swinging for a quarter or half the first quarter. Then after that, it's just like, all right, let's finish our food. Quit playing at the table with the food. Let's just go ahead and get this up out of here.
Because
this is the biggest point spread. I think this is Oregon is minus 21.5. So rightfully so though.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got to go out there and just go ahead and put it away. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna get another game like this. You're not gonna get the easiest slate out of anybody in the first rounder. So yeah, you got to go ahead and put the team away that it's just not on the same level with you.
That's like, send that coach, and that coach is already on the West Coast, so just send him down to LA to get ready to prep for UCLA.
A couple steps away.
And the reason why we're all here tonight, you see my background, you see his background.
I know what's going on.
Third time, 13 months, Alabama, Oklahoma, back to Norman, as we all seen. In November last month, Oklahoma took down Alabama by a final score 23-21. Oklahoma won on the scoreboard, but the stat sheet will tell a different story, because if I just went up to a person and be like, hey, Alabama had 400 yards of offense to Oklahoma's 200 or whatever, if that, that's margin of victory do you think Alabama won by?
Man, I mean, if you go back to the game a couple months ago, and look at the pick six that was not necessary.
Also a punt return that set them up with a field goal.
Yeah, and I mean, well, I'm looking at two particular interceptions from that game that as big momentum changes, and you talking about this point spread. Let's say at best from the pick six, you get 3. All right, I'm giving 3 at best 7. The other interception that really hit me critically was an interception in the end zone. So I'm looking at anywhere from 10 to 14 points. We're talking about a big marginal swing.
Wait, the interception in the end zone got called back, if I'm not mistaken.
Did it really?
Yeah, it was called back for defensive holding.
It ended up being
you might be thinking about the Ryan Williams fumble on the punt return, and John Mateer scored on a QB run play.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, I know we're looking at least a positive 14 and a negative 6. bare minimum or -7 for Oklahoma. I'm looking, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, at a 10-point win, very possibly, a month and a half ago. But in the last 24 months, I saw I saw my favorite team lose to Michigan twice and lose to Oklahoma twice. And now we are faced with a third opportunity, this time again on the road against Oklahoma, in a game where in the last couple of weeks, a quarterback play, going back to the heap or to the start of the conversation, our quarterback play was shaky at best a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago. And this environment's not gonna be easy, man. And coming off 2 weeks ago, we trying our best, trying our best to sweep it under the rug. But after a hard-fought win over Auburn, and then going to the SEC championship and just laying an absolute dud. For one, I'm very, very, very honest. Did not expect us to get in. Didn't think we deserved it. It is what it is. But we got in and we have a second chance at life. So, I mean, man, we just got to go out there and play. Defense has been saving us all season long. We got to go out there, go back to the Georgia week, go back to the Wisconsin week, go back to the ULM week. We got to go back to those types of weeks and make sure that we keep Tennessee. Keep our offense consistent, keep our offense flowing. So it's one of those things, man. We in one of those situations right now.
Hey, man, you got to mute that, man. Trying to get copyright. Ladies and gentlemen, look who we have now, our late edition, right on time as we talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide. You driving?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're in a vehicle. Yep. I can't really. Yeah, I don't want to give you. I don't want to. Safety first out there, ladies and gentlemen. But go ahead, Drey.
Yeah, I mean, no, we just gotta show up. We gotta make sure those drives that we had, like we had at the beginning of the season, are the same. Like we gotta have good drives.
You gotta cut your radio down, man.
So I mean, it's just one of those things, man. Like it's gonna be a great game. I'm glad we play on Friday. We can go ahead and knock it on out. I'm pretty sure after the loss in the SEC championship, if I'm Bama, I'm ready to play. So, hopefully, like I said, they'll come out ready to play, come out swinging, get us this, just like we got the revenge over Vandy. Hey, the third time may it be the charm, may it be the sweetest victory as we advance in the playoffs.
Because the third time it'll be better because it's like I said, once you raise the stakes, getting off of your Saints beat the Buccaneers, Tom Brady first year twice. They go in the Superdome. They win that game, NFC Championship, Super Bowl champ. So yeah, when stuff like that happens, them other two losses don't even matter. And then in this game, we talked about it, particular with Miami and A&M quarterback play. Can Ty Simpson or John Mateer keep the ball out of harm's way? And we seen Alabama, and it wasn't just Ty Simpson turning the ball over, but we seen all those layups that Alabama gave Oklahoma that gave them points. So you prevent that from happening again compared to what this defense can do, Alabama's defense can do to Oklahoma's offense, help us, what I'm saying? Like pretty much our defense, Alabama defense do what Georgia defense did in the SEC championship game. Give us the ball back with short fields so we can generate some points. Be a good hand. So, yeah, but, both defenses are great. I know they're getting back one of their best pass rushers in R. Mason Thomas. But quarterback play will win or lose you a football game in any level of football. It doesn't matter how great. It doesn't matter how great your defense is. Like I said, this game is not going to be super cold. It's going to be a chilly night in Norman, but it's not going to be as crazy. It's probably not even going to be the night that it was when they played last season with the famous Mill Road Russian leg sweep game. Like it's probably not going to be as cold as that game. So, but and like I said a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago, what better to play a playoff game against a team that you lost? That way you can just go back and watch the tape on what you did and be like, all right, let's correct that. Let's correct that. Let's correct that. Okay, let's implement this. Let's implement that. They probably think we're going to do this, so let's do that. You know what I'm saying? So what better way to start a playoff game against a team you already faced? Because you don't have to learn them all over again. You already know what to expect from them. But You can't get a run game. It was what? It's going to be 12 days or 13 days from basically 2 weeks from the SC Championship game to this opening playoff game. You're not going to get a run game fixed in 2 weeks. But, so I'm just anxious to see, can they replicate what they did in the Iron Bowl? They had 150 yards on the ground versus Auburn. If you can do that, you setting yourself up. You setting yourself up for success. If the defense can force 2 turnovers like they forced 2 turnovers, gonna be pretty good. And also another thing you didn't point out, Talty missed that field goal before halftime. It got blocked. So that's another thing. We might be looking at Alabama being on defense to close that game out, winning the game 24-23, giving us the ball back, and Top Simpson just, we nailing it out. Yeah, we nailing it out. So that's another thing to look at. If we could get into a situation with the kicker, can we depend on this kicker on the road? So it's a lot of stuff. But mainly in the receivers. Can we get open? Can we catch the ball on key third downs and extend drives? Can we keep the defense off the field? Can we at least move the ball to where their offense got to go 80 yards, 85 yards? Sometimes it don't matter about scoring. It's all about winning the field position battle as well. That's pretty much all I got. Fam, welcome in. You're late. Gonna take that out your pay, but whatever you got on the tide, you just take us on home. We're gonna wrap up after you.
So what was the question about it?
So what do you expect from this game this weekend?
Well, just to go back on the first time that they matched up this season, what a lot of people have to realize and understand, yes, Bama had turnovers that really wasn't forced. They gave it to them because they fumbled, tied through interception, then got hit. That's just lack of ball security. During that time when they played Oklahoma, you could see that Bama was a bit fatigued. Going through that gauntlet, going on the road to Missouri, South Carolina, playing these back-to-back ranked teams, and then I think having somewhat of a break, then playing LSU, then a host of other Oklahoma teams. You can see the fatigue, and then they had a break with Eastern Illinois. Came back, played Auburn to the wire. Then you had to turn around and play Georgia in the SEC championship. So I say that to say this: by them having 12 days off, I'd expect to see a well-rested team defensively. I expect them to play with a lot of energy. And as far as with defense against Oklahoma's offense, they just got to do the same thing they did the first game they played them. Keep them out the end zone. This time, keep them behind the sticks more if the offense still tends to struggle. Special teams, first off, with the punt return, just keep the same guy that's been back there, Cole Adams. I'm trying to switch it up. Just keep him back there. He hasn't dropped the punt all season, I think, with the exception of one. So just keep him back there. Offensive, you already know Coach Venables don't blitz. You got to put some screens in there. You got to run outside. You got to stress the defense to keep them on their toes. Because with Brent Venables' defense, if he cannot blitz, guess what? That's it. Can't do nothing. You get Quavis back, that's going to be a major plus. And if Jam can play, that's going to be a major plus. Also with the pass game.
Quavis.
I understand that Jeremy Bernard has been the most consistent. Okay, well, we in the playoffs. You got to get 2 involved. If you get 2 involved, guess what? That opens up 5, and that opens up 1, and that opens up 80. So now, if 2 is open, 2 get hot, then guess what? Okay, we got to guard him. We got to guard Bernard. We got to guard and we got to guard Quavis. No way you doing that. And so if he gets hot, they start feeding him. Now you spreading the wealth. Now you're going to open up the run game. You can't open up the run game and not be successful without a pass. Because if I know you can't pass and throw it deep, guess what? I'm going to load the box, fill the gaps, and blitz. Offensively, stick with a consistent lineup and stick with the lineup that you had during that gauntlet and that stretch that you went through earlier this season. Because if I'm not mistaken, during that run, that was when the offense was at its best. So just stick with that rotation and just remain consistent. Also, with the quarterback play, give them some quick game. If you know they blitz and do quick game. Once you get it out of his hands quick, you start attacking the outside. Now that blitzing, they gonna stop blitzing.
But
So
they
you
say
just
throw where the defender was previously at. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what they
you
like. Yeah,
basically with his defense, if he can't blitz, they in trouble. And I think, to be honest, I think Bama will win by 2 touchdowns. If they come out with intensity like I expect, they should win by 2 touchdowns. Because regardless of that, whoever wins this game Friday, they gonna beat the hell out of Indiana. Indiana hasn't played anybody.
aside from Ohio
And
State, ladies and gentlemen.
like I put in the group chat, um,
Y'all
the
boys.
SEC, that's a different breed.
Mm-hmm.
Now that everybody's got some rest, and now that we out of conference, and now we got to go against these other conferences, you're about to really see a difference in these SEC teams. We'll beat up on each other all year. Now we get to face some other opponents. That's going to be very scary, and I would not be surprised if there's 2 SEC teams in the championship. Because,
Bama Georgia 3.
like I said, whoever wins that game, Bama, Oklahoma, they're going to beat Indiana. And then in closing, Bama just got to play Bama football. Now this is a time where you really want to know, because guess what? The second round ain't promised. Now you really got to go out and play. Do I think they can handle it? Yeah, I think they can. And the worst thing you can do with the Kalen DeBoer led Bama team is give him time to prepare and rest. I don't think he's lost a game at Bama coming off of a bye week. So you give him rest. You beat Oklahoma. When's the next game? New Year's Eve.
Next game won't be until New Year's Day. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's
So
another
you
2
got
weeks.
another 2 weeks. And you might possibly get some more starters back. Give them more time to plan. Then they beat Indiana. Give them another week, or is it?
I want to say the semifinal rounds
It's
will
the
be like
following
January 8th,
the
9th,
week.
somewhere.
It's the
Yeah.
very following week.
Yeah.
So then
Every game after New Year's is like that following week.
Yeah, and then like the semifinal round, then you get
they
like
just
10
get a
day
full-
a 10-day gap,
Yeah.
gap between the semifinal round to
So
the
then you'll
championship.
have a game back to back to that semifinal to get to the championship. You win that game, then you get another break to go to the championship. So in all honesty, in my opinion, I think that the recovery time between games is in Bama's favor because they come out strong once they have rest. And to be honest, in the SEC championship, they look tired and they look beat up. And then Georgia, they just went on ahead and do what they had to do to them. So by them being
Georgia
rested
still trying to
now,
get that monkey off their back that they can't
yeah.
beat Bama too. So it's just a lot
And
of stuff. Yeah.
now that they're rested, they almost had pretty much close to 2 weeks of rest. I think we see a different Bama team. And I think offensively, I think we're gonna see a lot of changes and a lot of different plays that we're gonna expect to see that's gonna put some points on the board. Because if you really think about it, the play calling the last few games hadn't been really wowing. And I wondered by them knowing that, okay, we already know that we gonna make the playoff, where they pretty much saving the playbook. And what I mean by that, we know we're gonna get there. Let's just hold off on this and just see if we can make it through these next 2 games without it. Cause y'all know we played high school ball when we played,
Yeah.
teams like Montgomery schools. We didn't really open up our playbook. We saved it for
better
Might
time.
be
But that's
like
the
open
thing too. But
mic
that's the
or
thing too. You can't. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but when you get to November and now December and point of the football season, you pretty much are what you are. Like, ain't no we you know we sitting out, we sitting back on plays and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying, you really can't do that. Yeah.
technically you
I mean, like
can
I said, I hear what you're saying, but
with a spread
sometimes
off
you just what you are. But
with
yeah,
a spread offense you can do that because you can take the same play and run it in 8 different formations.
yo,
That's
yeah,
what I
the Sark. The Sark. That's what Sark mainly do.
and you
Or
can sit on plays. Let's be honest. They're gonna come
yeah,
out
you
here and
can.
do completely different. So
Just long as I don't see a trick play only up by 2 scores, I'm happy. Wait till we up by like 30 to do something, and that means
but
never
I
in
think
my
they're gonna be
opinion.
more run heavy too.
Yeah,
Try and establish the run. So yeah, other
I
than
mean,
that, if
like I said, getting 4, 5, 6, 7 yards a run, man, that should not deter you to stop running the ball. I'll say that.
if Bama, as long as Bama don't turn the ball over, they'll win. There
That's
hasn't
all
been
it
a
is.
game this year where, with an exception of Florida State, that they lost and then turned the ball over. So with that, if they don't turn the ball over, they win. They'll sell their funds for it. Because I don't see the offense unless it's a busted coverage. I really
Now I can see with them. I think that's the thing too. They don't want to put their quarterback in situations where he has to try to be a hero. So that's why they call plays the way they call them. So that's why you see them, as far as the offense that play not to lose, and then we just gonna go out here and rely on our defense to make these stops. So that's pretty much where Oklahoma they banking on. But we need to put them in a situation to where the quarterback
have to
has to
make
be
the
the
play.
guy to make the plays for them to stay in the game. Because if not, like you said, 2 scores. If we go out here and do what they did on us, as far as because their offense already struggling, but then we go out here and force turnovers, force them to turn the ball over and get points, and then their offense already can't move the ball. Yeah, it'll get uglier than 2 scores. I'll say it'll get close to the four touchdown territory of margin of victory. So yeah, like I said, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a
And,
jam packed Friday.
and last thing, if on the defense, every time Matil got the ball, I'm going to strip it because that thumb's still weak.
That
I'm
thumb,
going
yeah,
after the ball.
he never properly healed from that thumb
I'm
injury. So
going to
most
I'm
definitely,
going to hit it every time. If I hit it
yeah.
that ball 4 times, he gonna drop it 3.
And it's gonna be cold, so yeah, that's gonna hurt even a little bit. Yeah, it's gonna hurt a little bit worse. But I ain't really got too much to add. If you got anything you want to add in, Dre, you can. You welcome to do so before we get up out of here. You got one more thing to add, Finn? Like I said, you came through late, but you here though. We had to put out the APB for you, but you showed up. You
I
got
think Texas A&M gonna
what about? Oh, we didn't even really make no predictions.
2
We was
games.
just
That's self-explanatory. Who gonna win?
yeah. We ain't really made it. Yeah, say we ain't really made no, but then we just really talked about like, okay, what are some of the keys to those games? Like I said, we ain't really got too much, man. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll be right back with y'all recapping the first round of the playoffs. So, but stay tuned for the jam-packed weekend of playoff football, college football, first round, and roll tide. We out.